Hi, Clarets. Welcome to the No Nay Never podcast. Natalie's on her jollies this week, so it's Adam hosting the preview show. And as we have a brief look back at the rather disappointing cup exit at Turf Moor at home to Cardiff City on Tuesday evening, before the main event of looking ahead, we really are looking forward to looking ahead to our return to Premier League action against our favourite opponents from recent years, Manchester City away. With me this evening is the main man, Dave Statman Roberts. How have you found the Clarets start to the season, Dave? And are you enjoying this return to the Premier League?
Yeah, I think it's been a slightly better start than it was the last time around. We look like we're more in games now. We've perhaps not got the points we deserve from the matches. Obviously, those two late penalties at Old Trafford and at home to Liverpool were real killers when we were hoping to get positive points out of those games, and we didn't do. But yeah, good performances. We want to start turning those into points. So what better chance we've got than a nice, easy away trip to the Etihad on Saturday?
Yeah, well, it sounds weird to say, doesn't it? But you never felt like we had any sort of momentum at the start of the last Premier League season with the results and the performances. Whereas this time, yeah, you say we're probably a couple of points shy of where we could and maybe should have been, but you do see that consistency in performance and level of performance that can and will hopefully get us the returns that we deserve. So yeah, really positive from me as well. I completely agree with you there, but not on a positive front. We were rather humbled on Tuesday, and a bit of a throwback to the disappointing cup exits under Sean Dyche's leadership. Very similar performances to those sort of days, which is a bit of a shame. And here to review all of Tuesday night's action is Tom Whittaker.
Hello, it's Tom here. Just a few quick thoughts about the Cardiff game on Tuesday. Unfortunately, I had to travel up for that one. I have to say, as soon as I saw the lineups, Cardiff had put the best team out. They were taking it seriously, and we made 11 changes. I had a feeling that it wasn't going to be our night. You see a lot in these cup ties, and even the ones that we've won in recent years. You know, we played Derby; they weren't taking it seriously either. And Park is continuing in a fine tradition of Burnley managers recently, where it seems that these cup games are just basically training games for the players who don't play in the first team. There's no interest really in progressing. If we do, it's a happy accident almost. With the money in the Premier League, you can kind of understand it, and we're certainly not the only club that does that. You've only got to see how Leeds and Sunderland got on in the last round to know that. But when the club's charging money to watch these games, you've got the programme notes and stuff saying that they're taking the cup seriously and they want to go as far as they can, and then they patently aren't taking it seriously or interested in it. It is quite irritating. It does grate. And you saw the last sort of 10, 15 minutes there was a flurry. We actually started trying. We actually pressed with a bit of intensity, and he thought if we'd have played like this the full 90 minutes, we'd have beat these comfortably, even with 11 changes. But there obviously wasn't that kind of intent there. There's no... The instruction from the manager is clearly just to ease off, not to get injured, because there's no pressure on the ball whatsoever. There's no pressing. Completely antithetical to what we see in the league games, whereas Cardiff were very much in our faces, pressing from minute one, and they fully deserved the win, unfortunately. The one thing I'd like to say coming out of it is I've seen some of the fringe players who got games really getting a lot of stick. Oh, they're rubbish, they're obviously clearly not good enough. I think it's very harsh to judge any of these players, particularly the new ones, based on how they play in these games. As I said, the team structure is not there. I mean, we're playing with Bashir Humphreys in midfield for the last 10, 15 minutes. If that's not going to happen in any Premier League games this season, the players aren't going to look good if they're told to go out and play with that intensity. I've seen Edwards getting a lot of stick. Oh, he's lazy, he's rubbish. He can be lazy, sure, and he was lazy in that first half, but he was far from the only one. I thought he played quite well in the second half. He turned up at least in the second half. Bro, yeah, I've seen getting a lot of stick. The guy's barely kicked the ball for 12 months, and you're going to judge him off that. I mean, I even thought we saw a few nice little little touches, little bits of play here and there from Broja. Yeah, all I'd say is write it off. Don't rush the judgment of some of these players on the basis of that. They've not been given the chance, I don't think, to show themselves in the best light. It's frustrating, but there we go. Concentrate on the league, as they say, and wait and see who we get knocked out of the FA Cup by in January. Cheers, and up the Clarets.
Great, thanks, Tom. Wish it could have been more of a positive result. Where do you sit with the Cup versus League argument, Dave?
Well, it was our reserves basically. It made 11 changes again, as it had for the Derby game. The first half was just so disjointed. We obviously came to a little bit in the second half, but the damage was done, wasn't it? And it is what it is. I think it's perhaps not too bad that we are concentrating on the league. Obviously, we've still got at least one FA Cup tie in January to play. We'll see how that goes. It'd be nice to get a cup run. It would be nice to sort of get to the later stages. Maybe get a semi-final one day. But we'll. I think the league is the main focus, and if we can string 2 or 3 wins together in the Premier League, then you'll kind of forget anything about losing to League One Cardiff City.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. And back to league action we go. Have you got some opening stats for us, Dave?
Yes, I have. I think it's fair to say that Burnley's recent record at Manchester City means we've never tend to hold out too much hope of a positive result there these days. I say recent, but it's been more than 50 years since Burnley won an away game against Manchester City. That was the season's curtain raiser when newly promoted Burnley were invited to play in the Charity Shield at Main Road. That was in August 1973. Colin Waldron's goal from a well-worked free kick gave the Clarets a 1-0 win over City on that occasion. And we have to go back even further than that, another whole decade, in fact, to 1963 for our last win in the league. That was by a 5-2 scoreline, also at Main Road in March 1963. Speaking personally, I'm getting rather tired of referring to wins from 50 or 60 years ago. So we can only hope that the time has come to write some new history this weekend with a long-awaited away victory against City.
Wouldn't that be lovely? some new content, because it's my only memories of playing City at whatever level we've been at have just been getting absolutely battered. One of my first memories of going to the turf with my dad was that 6-0 Tuesday night in 1998, 99 maybe. Yeah, 99. Understand. And yeah, Sean Gota still haunts me since then. But whatever level we've played at, whether it was League One in that day, and then the early noughties in the Championship when we were both at the top end, they battered us then a couple of times, even though we were competitive in the league most of the season. And then, yeah, since returning to the Premier League, it's been pretty miserable. I didn't quite realise it was that long since we won there, but I were racking my brains. I didn't think we'd won there since I'd been born. So long live George Boyd and that wonderful left foot strike at home a few years ago. Oh dear. So have you got any headline highlights?
Yes, that's our new section for this season, headline highlights. I've been studiously going through old newspapers, trying to find as much info as I can. And looking back at our Premier League games, trips to the Etihad, there have been our last 7 trips there in the league have all been Burnley losses, as well as 3 further cup defeats during that time, so 10 consecutive defeats. But we did manage a couple of more positive results as we drew both of our first 2 away trips in the Premier League. We've left the 3-3 draw from November 2009 and plumped instead for the match from late December 2014, in a match that I helped cover for Clarets Play, as it was back then. So we're going to help you remember this match using some local and national newspaper headlines from the Burnley Express, the Lancashire Telegraph, the Guardian, and the Telegraph and Argus. It wasn't looking too promising at half-time, as Burnley, playing in all black, trailed to goals from David Silva and Fernandinho, but Burnley struck back after the break, with goals from George Boyd and a spectacular effort from Ashley Barnes, which gave Joe Hart no chance to defy expectations and earn a point. So we've got some headlines to go through, starting off with our first one, which is the Burnley Express. And their headline was, Clarets stun the Etihad. And some match action photos there in the match report. The next one we had was from the Lancashire Telegraph. They went with It's a Christmas Miracle at City, obviously looking back at our previous results there. And the fact we came from 2 goals behind, I don't think too many people give us much of a chance, particularly when we were 2 goals down at half time. And then the next one we had was from the National, from the Guardian. Barnes Stormer punishes City weakness, and a fantastic photo there from behind the goal. Joe Hart with an arm outstretched, and Ashley Barnes just in the background. All of the City defenders with their heads turned round, looking at the ball going into the net, giving no chance whatsoever. And finally, we had the Bradford-based Telegraph and Argus, which was Battling Burnley Upset Champions. And a photograph there of Burnley players celebrating and City players kind of wondering what the hell's happened, because I don't think they could quite believe what had happened there. But yeah, it was a great game to be at. And the turnaround shows that, even when your chips are down, you think you're going to lose. We managed to, we did think we were going to lose at half time and maybe concede some more, but to get 2 goals back and get a point was a fantastic result, a fantastic performance. We'll need to sort of maybe bring out some of that endeavour from the players to get anything out of the game on this Saturday.
Well, we've still got Ashley Barnes, so you never know.
Yeah, it came on, didn't it, on Tuesday, yeah.
It feels like forever ago that. It'd be nice, a nice circle of events if our last point there, if he can repeat that this season and somehow get us another one.
Come back on as a sub for a late winner, maybe.
I think if we're drawing, I don't think we'll be seeing Ashley Barnes coming on. But anyway, I'll take a point, but we'll save that for the predictions later on. Great section that, Dave. Love that. Right, so we're on to this week's referee.
We've got Birkenhead-based official Robert Jones. He's going to be the man with the whistle in Manchester on Saturday afternoon. He's taken charge of 4 previous Burnley games. They were a defeat in the League Cup. That was away at Burton Albion in 2018. Home win against Peterborough in the FA Cup in January 2020, as well as an away defeat when we lost at Leeds United in December 2020, with some rather questionable calls on that occasion. Finally, there was even more controversy when we drew 1-1 at Nottingham Forest in September 2023. In that game, Lyle Foster was sent off late in the game, although there was clearly some frustration from an earlier disallowed goal when a video replay ruled that Jacob Brun Larsen had handled the ball in the build-up. London-based Paul Howard, he's the video assistant referee once again, after taking the same role for our home game against Forest last Saturday.
Yeah, I vividly remember the Forest game. I think that's the most gutted, I've been in an away end after it just completely killed the atmosphere, that disallowed goal. I elbowed Richard Steele right in the nose as we were celebrating, and it were all for nothing. But none of us knew in the crowd what it had been disallowed for. When you saw the replays afterwards, it were, well, nowadays that would stand. That wouldn't be disallowed because it's got to be the player that scores the goal, not anything to do with the build-up unless it's clear and obvious. But to be honest, who knows, Dave? But I think that'd be allowed these days. But yeah, it still cuts deep. And even now, I question that penalty decision at Leeds where Pope won the ball and Bamford went over his leg and we got given the penalty were given against us and we lost 1-0.
Well, then the one at the other end where Ben Mee, didn't he?
Yeah, God, I just let that one slip my mind, Dave, and you just brought the misery back even further. So yeah, I thought he'd have refereed us more, to be honest, because he's been around a while and we've been in the top flight a while, but it probably bodes well that he hasn't done. But we'll see. It could all change this weekend.
We shall see.
You never know. Have you got any thoughts for the weekend? Any team predictions? What do you think anyone from Tuesday will come back into the thinking, other than probably Leslie? But do you think anyone's made the mark, or do you think it'll be similar to what we've seen so far in the Premier League games?
I would doubt it. I think based on the performance on Tuesday, I don't think there were too many players in there who covered themselves in glory. I think after play, I think Hannibal was maybe the one who gave the best account of himself in the game. So, I mean, whether he comes back into the starting lineup or he's going to be second half sub, I don't know. But it's interesting, isn't it? Obviously, Jadon Anthony's done really well this season. Lyle Foster's, I think, done well up front. But I think that goals are going to be hard to come by at the Etihad. If we can get anything out of the game, we'll take it. I think we'd take a point now, wouldn't we? We'd bite your hand off to be given a point. But you never know with these things. It's City haven't had the best start to the season. They're not the team that they were. Pep's not quite got the golden touch that he used to have with them. So you never know.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think the way that we've played so far, other than starting games poorly, which obviously we can't afford to do much longer, we've made it difficult, and probably more difficult as the season's gone on. We've looked more of a unit and more organised. We're not going to be that ambitious from the off, you'd think. Do you think he'll play Cullen, Ugo Chukwu and Florentino, who's been very impressive since he's come in?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? We've obviously had Josh Laurent playing that defensive role. We thought it might have been a one-off, and then obviously he was back in at the weekend, so maybe that's there to stay. I mean, from reading the reports, he kind of got an inkling of it early on in pre-season, that he may be asked to play that role, and he's done reasonably well in there. I think it probably will be 5 at the back against City. But yeah, I mean, we've got to be a little bit careful, don't we, in terms of not trying to set ourselves up in too positive a manner to leave ourselves open at the back. So it may be more of a cautious approach from Scott Parker. But yeah, it's difficult at City. We know that from bitter experience, those 10 consecutive losses and some heavy ones in there as well. We just tend to be 5-0, 5-0, 5-0. So we just need to keep ourselves in the game, don't we? I think if we can keep it quiet the first 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and you're still not conceded, then that's all well and good, and we can kind of build on that for the rest of the game.
And then the one position that has chopped and changed a bit is the right wing position. So we've had Jakob Brun-Larsen and then Tuna. I'm still not sure how to pronounce his name. But both of them have contributed well. Larsen with the assist, maybe not looked fully up to speed in the minutes he's played, but we know what he can do. And then I think Tuna's been very good from what we've seen of him so far.
He was unlucky not to get a goal, wasn't he, with the one that hit the crossbar on Saturday?
Yeah, I think a lot of us thought that one were in. So, and then obviously we've got options from Tuesday. We won't go into Trésor again, but Trésor and Edwards hopefully putting the pressure on to keep the performance levels up. But it's good to have options. The squad's in good shape, you'd say, from the start of the season. And yeah, you never know. I'm not going to predict a defeat because I never can. But what's your score prediction for the weekend?
I think we're probably going to lose on the balance of things, but let's say a positive 2-1 defeat.
I'm going to go for 1-1, but please, I've not checked if it is on Super 6 this weekend, but do not share my Super 6 prediction with the listeners, because that might not be 1-1. Right. I am just going to do a very, very quick no nay never FPL league update, because I've been very quiet so far. There's been a load of new chips put into the game, which not gone into much detail on, but basically you get 2 of everything. So if you've not had the best start to the season, then get get playing those chips to try and catch up with your mini league opponents. But I'll just run down the top 5 so far. There's a couple of familiar names in there, which always seems to be the case, which is quite impressive given that there's over 400 people in the league. But in 5th place, you've got Brandon Butterfield with 329 points. 4th, Kieran Knott, 335. 3rd, Paul Thomas, 336 points. 2nd, Mark Shapland, 340 points. And the leader, who does often lead early in the season and had some really impressive finishes as well, is Rupert Booth and his Colne Kickers with 357 points. So any queries you've got with the new setup of the game, get in touch, and I'll try and help you out, and I'll try and keep you more up to speed with what's going on as we go through the season. Any other business from you, Dave?
No, nothing to add from me. I think it's just down to Premier League business again, and they don't get any easier, do they? With Manchester City, the fact we've played United, we've played Liverpool, playing City. It's tough. We know it is in the Premier League, and sometimes it can be a bit disheartening. But if the performances are there and the players are giving everything, and we are getting some results out of it, then there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and we can hopefully try and put a good run of results together. If you can put back-to-back wins together in the Premier League, makes such a difference in terms of trying to propel yourself up the table a little bit and away from the goings on in the bottom 3.
Yeah, and I think the start of all the promoted sides of it, I think Leeds and Sunderland have had probably nicer fixture runs, but they've taken full advantage of it. And it's good, and I know we're not from a neutral point of view, but from a neutral's perspective, you don't want teams just going up and down and not being competitive in the league. So it's really encouraging that there are a few results that have gone different ways, and other than Wolves, everyone's been pretty good. But I'd be quite happy if Wolves just stay being absolutely terrible and take one of those spots. But hopefully, we'll continue to give our all, and it'll be a very competitive and enjoyable. I'd say it's already been a more enjoyable season than last time, just with a couple of home performances that we've had, or 3 home performances that we've had. But thanks for that, Dave. Nice way to finish, and thanks most of all to you, the listener. The team will be back next week to review our trip to the Etihad, and we'll be looking ahead to the next run of fixtures, which Dave alluded to are a bit kinder and will probably play a pivotal part in how we do this season. Until next time, up the Clarets.
The Known and Never podcast is brought to you in association with the talkSPORT Fan Network. Our host and editor is Natalie Bromley, and the show is produced by Matt Moss. Our resident statistician is Dave Roberts, and our FPL expert is Adam Dennett. The Analysis Show team is collectively Tom Whittaker, Rich Steele, George Poole, Charlotte Rigby and Adam Dennett. Our music is provided by George Gaskell, and our newsletter team is headed up by Jamie Smith. If you don't already, you can subscribe to our newsletter by visiting knownandnever.substack.com. Thanks as ever go to our partners talkSPORT. We are proud to be associated with the talkSPORT Fan Network.